it can't be that freaking hard, right? Getting healthy, being healthy, staying healthy. I believe that having optimal health is the pathway to living a truly fulfilled life. I'm your host, Ashley Mythen, a qualified naturopath who's passionate about finding solutions to your health problems, because your health is my business and healthy starts here. Welcome to the show. Welcome to part 2 of How Your Gut Talks to Your Brain with Rachael Torcasio. Enjoy. Yes, I 100% agree. And there's some baby steps we can begin to take, isn't there? We don't have to go all out, especially if we don't have the energy, like you were saying before. Like sometimes it's more due to the fact that it's, really easier to gravitate towards these things that are, because we don't feel like cooking.
I mean, if people can afford it, that's one thing. I think it's important to acknowledge whether they can afford to buy, like new foods is something that I like to buy, like those pre-made meals. So I don't even have to think about what I'm cooking and I can grab a healthy meal.
Yes, perfect. Yeah.
What else is things? Just small things people can do. If they're able to get certain supplements or anything that's going to sort of support the digestive system. I did read something online that you might be able to talk to as well the other day about when the body is under a lot of stress. It's really important not to add too many different things into it because it's already having difficulty processing what's in it and what it's dealing with.
Yes, 100. Well, that makes sense, isn't it? When we've talked about that HPA axis, so that fight or flight. So if we're already in that stress mode where the attention to the digestion is elsewhere. So yeah, being wary of, and obviously there's emotionally, it's hard for us in times of stress to take too much on, isn't there? Like when we're already overwhelmed, taking more on is really hard.
Again, it's the same, isn't it? Externally taking more on, internally taking more on.
And I love that we keep reaffirming that because I think that's so important. But yeah, I agree. And I think it's just looking at what can you afford? What can you actually do that's easy for you, and what's manageable, and what is something that you can consistently do to get the best results. I think.
Yeah, and I guess talking about that is it comes back to our vagus nerve as well. So if we can regulate our vagal tone, they call it. So think of it like a muscle. So if we have low vagal tone, so it's low kind of strength. It's not working as well as it could be versus, a stronger vagal tone. We're going to have different kind of outcomes with our mental and our physical health, our gut health. So things like deep breaths forces our bodies to switch out of that fight or flight. So everyone talks about the importance of the breath. I have to remind myself sometimes to just kind of take a deep breath in and really just drop my shoulders down and relax a few times a day. Maybe we should even both do it.
Yeah, I was literally just doing it now. I'm just like,
Yeah, and, our breath can shorten when we're stressed or when we're busy or when we're just not being mindful or present.
And when we're stressed, it does go fast. We're more, you know the difference when you start being observant. You breathe faster and shallower.
You definitely do. Yeah, and it doesn't have to be, again, it's not all about, it doesn't have to be significant traumatic events that are happening. It's just the day-to-day life is really busy and it's really stressful for people in this day and age.
And so taking those moments can make a big difference.
It really can. Those moments are so important. And I think maybe, that's something you asked me before. What's something I wish I knew? Like I wish I really valued or knew the value of taking those small moments can actually have on the bigger picture.
And I love that you mentioned the vagus nerve tone as well, because there's some other ways like breathing and obviously it's slowing down, but there are some other ways you can tone up that vagus nerve, isn't there?
There certainly are, and I know both you and I love some of them.
Yes, singing.
Yes, the vagus nerve is connected to our vocal cords. So anything that stimulates that, like singing, humming, gargling. I was gargling water in the shower the other day.
Oh, I love that. See, and that's a great moment. Taking a moment to tone that vagus nerve. Yeah, I love that. Or singing in your car.
Yeah. And even swallowing hot liquid. So having a warm cup of tea, people, they tell you to go and do it. And that's this is one of the whys. Why do we do it? It feels nice and warm and soothing in our hand. It's also nice and warm and soothing for our body.
Which is lovely. So these are some simple ways that we can, tone that connection up, gargling in the shower or singing and getting a hot cup of tea. And those are little moments that people can integrate very easily into their life without it being too stressful.
Yeah, day-to-day stuff. And then there's bigger picture stuff, of course, when you're working on things, you want to be able to improve your sleep. So a lot of things around sleep hygiene, that really affects our vagal tone. Some people, having some kind of therapeutic support to talk about the challenges they're facing, how they catch themselves when they're having these negative automatic thoughts, and then what can they do to help things like the breath, humming, singing, meditation, whatever works for different people. Be curious and encourage people to just explore what works for you. Just because it works for one person doesn't mean it's going to work for another person.
Yeah, and who's to say you can not try all three, all
of them.
Yeah. As well. And there's also, I was reading a great article, and I mean, I know that, probiotics have, something important for gut health. And it was psycho-probiotic therapy or something like that. And it's, again, just basically combining the words to highlight the significance between probiotics and psychological well-being. And there is that connection there, again, that, good probiotics. So probiotics stands for pro-life, and that's we need good bacteria in our gut to work properly, don't we? Yeah, would you be able to talk a bit about that? I'm not sure is that something that you know much about, or sorry if I'm about the probiotic side?
No, I don't actually. I can't. So unfortunately, I really can't talk to it other than sort of the connection we've been talking about now. But as you were talking, something came to my mind.
Oh,
and
perfect.
I completely forgot it though.
No,
in that short second,
it'll come back.
Yeah, I think I don't know if it was connected or not, but I'm just going to say it. And if we need to keep this part of the recording or not, I'll let you decide if you want to chop it out or not.
No, perfect.
I wanted to kind of highlight when we do talk about the impact of like probiotics on the mind-body connection, it's not just about saying it's in your head. Like that's not why it's happening. Like people aren't imagining they're having digestive issues, or they're not imagining chronic pain, that kind of thing. So I think that is an important point to kind of raise when we talk about this question, because there can be a lot of misunderstanding and a lot of stigma around, mental and emotional health, why we seek support.
And thank you for touching on that. I think that is incredibly important. So it's not taking away the significance of these physical experiences that you're having. It's just saying that there's another component to it. Exactly, another component. Yeah, which is really important to highlight. So thank you. Yeah, and the other thing on that is we have sick days in the workplace, right? So if we're physically sick, it's okay to take time off to rest. So again, mental and emotional health. Everyone's heard of the old mental health day term, but it's not actually like a title of a type of leave you can get. Yes, you are able to take mental health leave as a part of your sick leave, but if we're not feeling so well mentally as well as physically, which both feed into each other, it's okay to take time to rest and repair, work on those both those parts of our lives. 100%. And because often if we sprain our ankle, right, we rest it, don't we? But when there's, say, quote unquote, a sprain or some kind of damage, or within the nervous system, we are more likely to push through than to rest, when resting is what we need to do. Absolutely. Adding more to our plate doesn't make us more organised, it makes us more stressed. Absolutely. So how do we, because some people, I guess we get somewhat, used to a certain way of functioning, don't we? So how do we know that before we get to the red flags of really kind of deteriorating and realising how fatigued and not being able to, work as well, is there any kind of hints along the way that maybe we need to slow down? We probably would notice things like not being able to think as clearly as usual or to make decisions, just feeling overall kind of heightened sense of arousal, like, our heartbeat might race fast. So we might notice that shortness of breath. Like these are all things that are happening on the outside, really subtle. Then they get louder or stronger the more that our
They get louder or stronger the more that our fight or flight kind of pathway is activated.
And then that's when we really start to take notice, the louder it gets.
Yeah, you might have friends or partners or family members that are saying, well, you've been really snappy lately, or, I heard you're getting up a lot in the night. Like, are you waking up more in the night than usual? Just all these little things. They're all little signs that something is out of balance or out of whack within our body.
And it's time to maybe take care of you.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. So obviously that's, like starting to be connected is the first step. And then what else can we do after that? So we're observing, we're like, okay, I'm definitely stressed, I'm fatigued. I'm going to try and do some breathing techniques. What else do I need to be doing?
Well, I think the main thing to remember is when we're either fighting or flighting, so we're either hyper or hypo-aroused, we want to be able to get out of those states of arousal and back into a more tolerable level of arousal. So some people might have heard of the window of tolerance. So when we're in our window of tolerance, we're cool, calm, connected and collected, as they say. So doing things like you've just mentioned to help widen our window of tolerance as well. So I think it's important that people don't think just because I take 3 deep breaths, I'm going to feel better and I'm going to be able to go to the toilet tomorrow.
That's
Not
great.
That
Yeah, that's great. And I haven't heard of the window of tolerance. So continue.
Sure. Well, perhaps we can, I might send a link to you as well so that you can put that in the show notes. That might be something useful for people.
Yeah, thank you.
Then it's about, is my schedule too busy? Do I need to slow down? Do I need to talk to a friend? Do I need to talk to a professional, whether it's for my mental health or my physical health? And really getting honest with yourself about what do I need right now.
Yes, beautiful. And I often love saying that to people because often, like you said earlier, that we know what we need. It's just sometimes we just have to take that moment to go, okay, what do I need and how can I implement that right now as simply as possible?
Simple. That's a great thing.
Yes.
I think I've seen you in your podcast, Instagram posts lately talking about SMART goals. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Somewhere?
Yes, simplifying it, just keeping it simple.
Otherwise, it's just another overwhelming thing we add to our to-do list. We want to shorten those to-do lists because a long to-do list, causes stress and anxiety.
Absolutely.
It's not good for our vagal tone.
Not good for and we don't want to do that. We want to strengthen that vagal tone. Sorry. 100%. And there are some genetic things that can come into play as well. I'm not sure, did we want to talk about the MTHFR gene and pyrroles? Do we want to touch on that a little bit as well?
Yeah, that'd be great. I think that's something you can probably lead on, I think, there.
Yeah, well, it's definitely something that I see a lot of in regards to mental health is either one or two of these things that come up is the MTHFR gene SNP and pyrroles. So the MTHFR gene SNP is to do with basically it's an enzyme. It's a really long name. I'll try and say it, and I apologize if I don't get it right. Methylene tetrahydrofolate reductase. So say that 3 times fast.
Sounds good to me.
Basically, it plays an important role in processing amino acids. And it's also involved in a process called methylation, which is basically breaking down, such as detoxification, and building up, such as turning food into energy production. And so like we were talking about our digestion, that's what that digestion does, is break down food and turns it into, say, glucose that feeds the brain as well. So not only is it creating neurotransmitters in our gut, but it's feeding our body energy. So if there's a malfunction there, it makes sense that that's not going to be functioning well, / our neurotransmitters aren't going to be functioning well. So on that deeper level, that's what's really going on. And the gene kind of can play a part. It's in those things. And I often, people can have even cardiovascular issues can come up. Often when I see a family history picture of cardiovascular issues, mental health issues in the family, seeing that kind of picture, that's when I think about fatigue and things like that, because it's involved in building up amino acids. That's when we can look at that MTHFR gene SNP kind of process as well. It's really interesting.
Certainly is. And as you know, for me, that was something that ended up coming out of some of the inquiries and that we made into what was happening with my body.
Yes. And how do you feel now supporting those processes?
Yeah, it's really nice to have that knowledge and awareness of there might be something else going on in my body that's not helping this. So again, it's that combination of nature and nurture, perhaps. And now that we've got the tools and then the supplements to kind of help my body break things down and detox things properly, particularly when I know that it's related to things like melatonin, serotonin, and dopamine. So again, two of our feel-good hormones and our sleep hormone.
Which can impact everything, basically.
Everything that we've just talked about today, yeah.
100%. So if there's a malfunction in that gut process, which is like not breaking down things, or if there's a genetic component, then how is our nervous system meant to be functioning properly? It's not going to, and especially if we've got an external stress happening, it's going to be really hard for us to be feeling at our best.
Definitely, yes. And it was really interesting getting the results, figuring out, or seeing, I should say, on the report that how ineffective my body was being at doing this certain job of breaking things down and doing what it's supposed to do with these things. So it makes you wonder, like, how different could my life be had I known this sooner, that kind of thing. So
definitely. So yeah, definitely you can, I mean, it's a buccal swab test or a blood spot test you can get done. But it's really, and it's something that I have the MTHFR gene SNP2, and I'm happy to do a different podcast on that. We've just touched on it in relationship to mental health, but it is interesting, and it does make you feel like maybe it's something you can talk about a bit more too on that kind of emotional side. You know, it takes away that blame, doesn't it? Of like, this is just me. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Or it takes away, I mean, even for my personal experience, it takes away blame of how do I put this? If I didn't have this traumatic event in my life, I wouldn't be having these issues with my body now because my body was fine before. Well, perhaps I would have been having some issues, and the fact that I am processing some of this stuff and the impact it's having on my body has led me to have more of an understanding of how my body works sooner rather than perhaps later.
Absolutely. And do you feel like you can really appreciate how your body's working right now, knowing all this?
I'm still working on the body.
Aren't we all?
And I think not seeing it as the enemy, like it's not trying to work against me, it's trying to get me to work with it. And that's the biggest thing.
Having that kind of, yes, it's trying to help me, it's trying to protect me, it's just doing its best.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the pyrroles was the other thing, and that's basically, the pyrroles, just to touch on really quickly for people, pyrrole disorder is when there are too many of these particular natural occurring substance, which can cause an imbalance by binding to certain nutrients like zinc and B6. And zinc is essential for immune system, gut health, brain function, so many things. And it's, again, connected to mental health picture, even ADHD, irritable bowel. So yeah, it's just interesting that this can be supported with nutrients, which is really lovely to know. So again, perhaps we don't have to resort straight away to pharmaceutical, not to say that that's not needed in some cases, but maybe we can always try some nutrients support and changing some lifestyle stuff, and then we can always go further if we need to as well, and there's no problem in that. But it's just kind of being aware that there could be some nutritional deficiencies there as well, which can be really important.
Very. Something I was tested on too, wasn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So it's good to just kind of, and a way to really, because it's low in zinc, so we can always look at our nails, go if there's any white dots, and, low immune system. Yeah, there's lots of different things that's kind of hinting that we could be low in zinc. And you can do a zinc tally test, which is just swishing around zinc in your mouth to see if you're low in zinc. But yeah, anyway, I digress. But it's just a helpful thing to consider, basically, that it could be a part of your picture.
Certainly, yeah, having an influencing role.
Absolutely. And what's your biggest lesson or taken the longest to learn, do you think?
How to slow down.
How to slow down.
And the importance of practicing what I preach.
And what is the biggest thing you love to tell people, or what's the most reoccurring thing you find yourself telling people?
It's okay to slow down.
Yes. Yeah, beautiful.
Truly. Yeah.
That's beautiful advice. And why is being healthy important to you?
Why is being healthy important to me? I just think having an overall quality of life and longevity and being able to enjoy doing the things that I like to do, whether it's, physical things, emotional things, life in general.
And it's so important, isn't it? And again, that gut health, that gut-brain connection.
Yeah, exactly that.
So name 3 things for me you do every day that you believe are essential to living a healthy life.
I drink lots of water. I cuddle my pussycats.
Great therapy.
Absolutely. And I try to move in some way every day.
Beautiful. And finish this sentence for me. Health to me is...
Health to me is probably connection to, mind, body and soul.
Oh, I love that. Thank you, Rachel. Is there anything else that you really would love people to know, or to what's the biggest takeaway from today, do you think, with the gut-brain connection and all we've talked about?
I would just encourage people to listen to your body. It kind of already holds all the answers within it. And sometimes it's screaming really loudly to be heard, and sometimes it's just a really subtle sound or feeling or sensation that is asking for your help.
And it's just maybe taking that moment, like you said.
Taking a moment, yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Rachel. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on today's episode. I'll make sure to put in the show notes all Rachel's contact details and things for people who want to learn more about what she does. And thank you again.
Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, darling. Thank you for listening. I've been your host, Ashley Mythen. Head to my website, ashleymythen.com. I have webinars, meditations, and recipes all created to help you be and stay healthy, because healthy starts here. You can also find out how you can work with me one-on-one. It can't be that freaking hard, right? Be kind to yourself and each other. Till next time.